Hey guys, Katy Huller here with Kids Can Read and Write, and today I want to answer this question for you. Why is it so hard for my child to read this simple sentence? And simple should be in quotes, but this is what a lot of parents are asking. Why is it so hard for my child to read a very simple sentence? Now, let me explain why something like this might be challenging even if your child knows their letters and sounds. Well, for kids, when they're learning to read, remember, words don't look like this to your kids, okay? Let me give you an example. When your kids are looking at words, instead of seeing them the way we do, which they pretty much instantly just make sense, right? You don't have to think about it. You just know the word when you see it. Well, to them, they're just figuring it out. It looks more like this, right? They can recognize the symbols that are in front of them, but they don't know what they say yet. They have to know, well, what sound did this thing make? What sound did this thing make? What sound did this thing make? And then they have to actually make the sound. They have to remember how to blend the sounds together, dragging that middle sound into that last sound. And then they have to put it all together. Now that's a lot of working memory. And if your child has dyslexia, they probably have struggles with their working memory. And they might also have struggles with their visual processing or their processing speed. And so all of these things together make it much more challenging to take these letters, remember their sound, remember the blending technique, put it together, go to the next word, and still remember what they just read. So even if they read this word 5 times already in the story, they might need to sound it out another 500 times before their brain actually goes, oh, I know that word, that's max, right? Because if your memory isn't great, which for many dyslexic kids, it isn't, you have to just keep figuring it out. Now, some kids might just figure this out 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, and then just know it forever. While other kids might need to figure it out 15 times, others 50 times, others 500 times before their brain finally goes, oh, I know that word. So be patient with your kids because remember, the words look more like this than you're thinking they look like this. Your child has to know a lot to read this simple word. Have to recognize this is a capital M, says M. This is the ah, and this sound says x, right? Then they can read max, max. But they still have to remember it and then go to this word. They have to remember this vowel. Ooh, which one was that? I. They have to remember, is this sounding like s or z if people are telling them both sounds? Is, n, ought, not. They have to remember all this information. Well, now I worked so hard to read these words, I've forgotten the beginning one. So this is what happens to a lot of kids, and even though they'll have read these words many times, if they have dyslexia, if they have poor visual memory, or they have just working memory issues, processing issues, any of those things that go along with dyslexia, expect it to be a real challenge and be patient because they're probably working 10 times as hard as the kids who don't have any major issues. And so you want to be very patient. You want to understand that their brains are going through an awful lot to figure out these words, and they shouldn't be expected to just know them upon seeing them. Even if they just read this word in this sentence, if there's another with it, well, give them time to figure it out again. Don't expect them to just know it, because if you push memory, you push that reading quickly before their brain is ready, guess what you get? Guessing. So you don't want guess reading. Make sure you're giving your child the opportunity to figure out each word, then go back to the beginning of the sentence, try to read it a little faster, then go back again and again until your child can say, Max is not well, okay? Then you can ask them, well, what did that sentence tell you? What does that mean? Max is not well. And make sure they understand the sentence. But if you're wondering why it's so hard for your child to read this simple sentence, remember all the things they're going through to read it. They have to remember letters and sounds. They have to remember that blending technique. They have to remember, oh, the word ended there, and here's a new word. Now they have to remember the old word plus doing all those things for the new word, etc., till they get to the end. Then they have to recognize there's an ending mark, and that is the end. There's a lot of thinking going on. And if your child has any issues with working memory, which is like the ability to retain stuff on kind of like a scratch pad in your brain, well, if they have trouble with that, everything kind of falls apart. They have to start all over again. It can be frustrating for them and for you. So remember, make it fun. Keep it fun. Praise your child for that hard work. Make them want to keep working hard rather than chastising them because they read it too slowly. Don't expect them to just know it. Give them the time they need to sound it out, figure it out, struggle with it, re-struggle with it, and praise them as they do. Hope this helps. Hope this serves you. And if you need help teaching your child to read, feel free to look up the Black Belt Reading Program on kidscanonlineacademy.com or at kidscanreadandwrite.com. The Black Belt Reading Program goes through everything from the beginning of just teaching your child letters and sounds to all the tricks they need to know to read just all sorts of words. So if you found this helpful and you want more help teaching your child to read, that's a great resource for you. Let me know in the comments if you have any other questions that I can answer for you. Thanks for joining me today, guys.